What is going on, fellow gamers and cosplayers? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of MSP. I'm one of your co-hosts, Manny, or sometimes known as That Cosplay Guy, and today I'm joined by none other than the indie developer group Happy Badger Studios, and today we're going to talk about a little bit of their projects, what they're currently working on, and a little bit about the team themselves. So thank you so much for joining us today. Please tell us your name as well as some of the names of your group members and what all you do.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ben Triola, and the other members of our group are Dana, Carol, and Joey. There's just four of us, and we make indie games.
Awesome. Now, what kind of games do you make exactly?
Primarily, we do mobile games. So we do a lot of Android, iOS, Kindle Fire stuff. But that's not all we do. We are also working on some larger scale Steam quality games.
Oh, cool. Now, are these like quicker flash kind of games, or are we talking in-depth like RPGs or action kind of games?
Usually they're pretty quick. So the way we like to roll is like we'll have one large game in production that's maybe like a several month or like a year-long game. But we'll take breaks from that and we'll do quick turnaround games like the one that we're demoing here at ASTL was made in 6 days. So we try to pump them out really quick, and they're usually a simple mechanic, but really addicting. Wow,
that's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about that title, the name, and what that game style's like?
Yeah, so the game we just launched is called Hero Chomp, and it's something we're kind of wanting to experiment with, where we take a mechanic and kind of flip it on its head. So in Hero Chomp, you play as the enemy, and you have to eat the heroes that are invading your castle. And the play mechanic is a bit different. So instead of controlling the character moves automatically, and you can only control when he stops. So you have you have to stop to avoid bombs and to eat heroes.
Wow, that's awesome. In addition to that particular title, are there any other games or highlights that you would definitely recommend to gamers who are new to the Happy Badger group?
Yeah, so we try to do a lot of different varieties. So like that game I just described as an action game. We also have like a memory-based puzzle game called The Flip. So it just depends on what you like. And then the game the big game that we're working on right now is called Something Fragile. And we've been working on that for over a year now. It started as a game jam game, and it's just progressed. And it's a puzzle game, but it's everything. All the art in it is made from fabric.
Nice. Now, especially since a lot of our audience are first-time indie developers or aspiring indie developers, what kind of tips and tricks would you recommend for them, especially if they want to get into the gaming industry?
Yeah, so I mean, if I could sum up the panel that we did yesterday in like one sentence, I would just say start making games. There's enough tools and resources out there that even if you don't have any skills or even if you don't know how, you can start making games relatively quickly. And the easiest way to do that is go to a game jam. Game jams where there's just people come together and we make a game in like 48 hours or less.
Sweet. Now, one thing I really like about your group is that the fact that it is a group, and it seems like you work off of each other's ideas and motivations. Would you find that it's a lot easier to take that approach when you're starting out as opposed to some developers who want to fly it solo?
I think so. Like, we collaborate really, really well, and I think a game jam is a great place to meet people, to be a part of your group. But I think it can be a detriment if you're not careful. So if the group is too large, for example, or if the group is sometimes people get too into like planning. When we're doing these quick games, like this 6-day game, our planning session is like 15 minutes, and we just start making the game.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't spend like 5 days planning a game and then 1 day making it.
Yeah, and that was the other thing I was going to ask is, what's the typical turnaround time from taking a project from pen and paper to actually making it a reality?
I recommend for your first few games, do them quickly because you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay, but you'd rather make those mistakes on a quick, like six-day game or like a 1-month game versus on a 6-month or a 1-year game,
Awesome. Now, also, in making games like the ones that you guys are currently doing in indie games, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, what kind of software or even like language programs would you recommend for starters to get familiar with that are also used in the industry?
Yeah, it depends on your level of programming knowledge. If you already know some programming, I would recommend something like Unity or GameMaker, perhaps. If you have no programming experience at all, I would recommend GameStyle. It is really easy to learn. Stencil is another one that's pretty easy to pick up. And those programs will actually teach you basic programming methodology that you can apply to other programs in the future.
Now, are those language programs in themselves like C++, Visual Basic, or anything like that, or is that included?
Yeah, so some of those programs do use standard languages, like Unity uses standard languages. GameMaker has its own language, and GameStyle is all visual, so there's actually no language, it's drag and drop.
Now, just a little background history of Happy Badger itself. How did that name come about, and how did you all meet up and make this a reality?
It's a long story. I mean, it's gone through several iterations, and we've been around for like 4 or 5 years now. And it's evolved since then. But Happy Badgers, we're trying to come up with names and find something that's also available as a website. So yeah, we liked the idea of just Happy Badgers, making people happy. That's what we want to do.
Hence the name, of course. And also too, what would you say is probably your greatest struggle, starting and coming up to here in this industry, and also what is your greatest achievement?
That's a good question. I think the hardest thing for indie devs is getting your stuff out there and getting it seen. It's tough to get downloads, especially in a mobile market where there's just thousands and thousands of other games coming out weekly. It can be really hard to get seen. But our greatest achievement, I think, just honing our craft for the past 2 or 3 years. We've gone from this really sluggish, slow approach to speeding up, making games faster, and that allows us to make mistakes and fail faster and get better.
Nice. And then just kind of quickly, lastly here, for all of our fans who are new to Happy Badger, or for those who are returning and are definitely supportive of you guys, is there a Facebook page, a website where they can reach you at, and are there some expected cons that you all are hoping to attend, and then that way they could see you in person and even try out some of their awesome games you have?
Definitely. So happybadgers.com, that lists all of the games that we have out. And then, yeah, definitely follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. We like to interact with people and show them what's going on. As far as cons, we don't have anything concrete, but there's a bunch of stuff popping up in the Midwest, like tech and game cons. So we're definitely trying to hit some of those.
Nice. And being that we saw you here last year, I believe, at Anime St. Louis 2013, and then, of course, this year, could we possibly anticipate your return next year as well? And maybe any of the other conventions, like if they have a Natsucon next year, since unfortunately it was canceled this year?
Definitely. We'll pretty much always be at Anime ASTL because we have strong connections to the founder. We were at Natsucon last year. They might invite us back. So, yeah, we'll definitely be at least at this one next year.
Awesome. And I do believe you had mentioned that for the most part your home base is here in St. Louis?
Yeah, St. Louis, that's where our office is, and there's actually a really big and growing game community in St. Louis. We've got a lot of indie developers there, and really just a strong community. Like, if you need help, someone in that community will help you.
That is sweet. So, again, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of MSP. I'm one of your co-hosts, Manny, or That Cosplay Guy, and joined with me today, again, was Benjamin, representing none other than the Happy Badger Studio. Thanks again, Ben, for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you.
It was great meeting you and your teammates, and, of course, we're definitely going to stay in tune, and we love to see more from the Happy Badger Studios. Thanks again.